can let us know if they know of any lion that have exceeded the average of lifespan of lion. Oh, look at him. That fluffy tummy. I just want to go and rub it. I don't think he'd appreciate it very much. And then finally, one of Deborah's last questions, or one of the questions from Deborah was how long they would stay with the pride, how long, at what age that they would leave the pride. And well, when it comes to young males, 2.5 to 3, between age of 2.5, 3-year-olds, where they would start posing a bit of a threat in terms of coming into or reaching sexual maturity, coming of age, also developing a little bit of a strong will of their own. Excuse me. And young males would then move off, or even be ousted by the existing male or males, possibly become nomadic for a while before they can take over a territory of their own. Females, on the other hand, well, it depends. I've seen in many different areas different things happen. I've seen here in the Sabi Sand where a pride would raise cubs within the pride, and the lionesses that were raised within the pride were then destined to become part of the pride, and then eventually would become the breeding females of the pride. By which time, of course, the male, there would be a changeover of dominant male or males, so there wouldn't be very much chance of inbreeding. But I've also seen lionesses break away from the pride to give birth, raise cubs within the territory of the pride, occasionally come into contact with the pride, but they would generally raise their cubs out of the social structure of the pride, and those cubs, male and female, would then not be ousted, but they would leave the pride area and go and set up areas of their own or join up with other prides. I don't know how much that happens, that they join up with other prides, especially as females, but we used to term those splinter groups. And the cubs of splinter groups, we would never see what happened to them because they would leave the territory. There's no real hard and fast rule about what happens and how it happens. And I guess you could say from about the age of 2.5 to 3, lion can become independent. They're by no means as efficient as a predator on their own as, say, a leopard would be, but that's by pure virtue of the fact that leopard are solitary cats. They have a different dynamic when it comes to hunting. They're far more instinctive when it comes to hunting. Lion are instinctive to a certain degree, but there's a certain amount of learning that has to take place, and that comes in with the cooperative hunting, able to learn what your place is within a hunt, within the pride, because not every lioness or lion within the pride can do its can be an independent factor in a hunt. They've got to hunt cooperatively. They've got to learn how, as a group, how to bring an animal down, and that will vary in terrain. It will vary with the prey species. It will vary with the light availability, different hunting tactics for different things.
As if they just stand up for a while just to see if they can.
Yes.
And then they realise, okay, and then they just plop
down
again.
Yeah. Cool.
see if it's focused.
Awesome.
If the picture's looking focused, I can see the screen here.
It's looking good.
Okay, just a question. Morning, Paula. You're up early. It's going to be 5 o'clock in the morning there. Where are we now? Midday, noon.
Just
Anyway,
after
hi,
12,
Paula.
yeah.
Pardon?
It's just after 12.
It's after 12, so it's after 5 in the morning up in Minnesota. Morning, Paula. And a question from Paula is how long it takes for the males to develop their full manes. That's one part of the question. And 5 years, I'd say 5 years is when a male lion is in his full prime. It's when his mane is, that's when he's taking over, when he's the king of the jungle, as it were. In some cases, the mane, tufts of hair become visible after even 6-8 months sometimes. But it's only really after a year and a half that one starts seeing a little bit of fluff around the neck. At 2 years, it's quite noticeable. But another thing is that the mane of a lion is somewhat genetic. In the areas of East Africa, for example, down in Selous Game Reserve, living in the Selous, the males there have very, very small manes. In fact, I've seen 3-year-old males here in the Sabi Sand with bigger manes than adult males up in Selous. And then, of course, the famous maneless males up in Tsavo and Meru National Park further up in Kenya. Males that don't have manes. And there's a lot of debate as to what it is that how it all came about that a lion developed a mane. Certainly there's a lot of study being done on genetic selection in terms of the mane being some indicator to the females about genetic maturity and a strong gene pool, where females do tend to favor dark maned, fully maned lion as opposed to the blonder, lesser maned lions. But that only really holds sway in places like Kalahari and Serengeti and some of these areas where the lions' manes do tend to grow a lot fuller. And in my own personal observations, I look at him.
Yeah, I know.
He's got to eat where the other one's face is. I mean, he's got a whole carcass to chew on, but he's got to chew there. And he's going to growl at him too, probably. That one kid sitting on another one's toy, and that other kid wants to play with the toy that's being sat on. I guess it's slightly different than playing with toys, but... where was... Yeah. My own observations with different areas, seeing adult male lions from different areas, and I don't know whether there's any correlation, I don't know whether there's any substantiation to my theory, but in areas where the cold winter nights, or the nights in winter get extremely cold, tend to be areas that lion tend to have larger, thicker manes than areas where you've got more moderate temperatures the year round, and whether the temperature had anything to do with the lion's mane being a lot